The biggest game, the two biggest games of the weekend. Is that right?
This whole weekend's huge,
man.
man.
The two, I think, ones that we expect to be very good games that are in the top 25, USC and LSU, Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Both have very interesting lineups in favor of the lower ranked team. Now we'll start with Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Texas A&M at home in Kyle Field. This line started a slight Notre Dame favored. It's kind of moved in favored. It went to a pick 'em. Then, yes, last week we talked about it. It was down to A&M, now a favorite at -1, -1.5. It's now down to A&M all the way down to a field goal favorite at Kyle Field. And with the way this is trending, would it be shocking if it got to 3.5? And 3.5, I mean, that's obviously a huge point in the gambling world. Are you at all shocked? I mean, as much as I do believe that Texas A&M and Kyle Field playing on the road, it's going to be difficult. This is going to be the toughest environment that any of these Notre Dame guys have played in, and especially Riley Leonard, who was at Duke. I mean, it's going to be insanity, but I love Riley Leonard. I mean, I think that's the guy that he came over to Notre Dame, and the one thing they've always lacked is that offensive pedigree. And I was like, you know what? He's a gamer. He could be that guy that kind of really makes Notre Dame a legit contender. Maybe not at the national championship later, but it's firmly in the college football playoff. And they're going in this pretty significant underdogs to the Aggies, a team that we've heard nothing about. Like, we know that they have pretty good quarterback play. We know that they have talent. We know that Kyle Field is a huge home field advantage. But we don't know a lot about the Aggies. Like, we really don't know a lot about the Aggies. And this is telling me that the Aggies are going to roll into their home stadium and give Notre Dame everything they got and probably pull out a victory.
Yeah, I mean, it is beyond shocking. And to a certain extent, maybe it's not. Because, like, if you take away, past records, past years, Marcus Freeman, Elko, and just go roster for roster, this is about what the line should be. Because, like, I've been talking about it this offseason. A&M's roster is still, yes, they had a purge when Jimbo was ousted. Obviously, guys transferred out of that program. But even with that attrition and the kind of guy and some of the guys that Elko brought in, their roster is easily a top 10, top 15 roster in the country, and maybe arguably a top 10, depending on how Connor Wegman, who I think doesn't really get a lot of respect, him and Brady Cook in the SEC don't get a lot of respect. Now, Riley Leonard, I'd prefer Riley Leonard in this game, though I think, playing in a new system, all of that, and I know Elko's coming, but Wegman is familiar with A&M. And Leonard's going to Notre Dame. And if you want to talk about expectations, there might not, and I know Ohio State, Georgia, they've got national championship expectations. There's really no stage like Notre Dame. Like, everybody and their mother is expecting you, if they're a Notre Dame fan, to win a national championship. If they're not, they hate you and they want to see you die, pretty much. That's just what Notre Dame has been for the entirety. So Riley Leonard's got a ton of pressure. Marcus Freeman's got a ton of pressure. And there is not a worse place to play than an Aggie team in Kyle Field with nothing to lose. They have nothing to prove. They're already playing with house money. They're going to go in there, and Elko's a great coach. They're going to go in there with nothing to lose, play free, play loose. I think it's a terrible spot. Terrible spot if you're Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman, and Riley Leonard.
And also, who knows Riley Leonard more than Mike Elko?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy there, like you're talking about, that was his head coach a year ago. So if there's anybody that can game plan and scheme for Riley Leonard and his strengths and his weaknesses, it is Mike Elko. And then you add on to the fact that you're going to have 110,000 screaming fans that are going to be as loud as any stadium in the country.
Hasn't
it might
even
be the loudest.
Well, I'd say Clemson.
Country.
Clemson is comparable. Duke playing Clemson and everything like that.
But
Riley Leonard, this is a completely different environment than Riley Leonard has ever.
It's different because it's Duke playing Clemson. It's not Notre Dame playing.
Yeah.
Like, if it was Notre Dame playing,
A&M is getting up for this game more than they've gotten up for any game. Like, the last game they really got up for was that LSU game a couple years ago when LSU beat Bama and they had a real chance to kind of go to the college football playoff. That's how A&M was up for that
and there's
game.
also just like the fire of the excitement of having a new coach and Jimbo Fisher, and it's a new season and it's fresh and everyone's
and it's like, Notre Dame.
And there's all the pressure that they used to have over there at Texas A&M is now on Notre Dame coming in and having to win this game. But where are you at with Mark? If they lose this game, right? Where are you at with Marcus Freeman? Because all of a sudden, I think there's going to be questions in Notre Dame very, very quickly, because we talked about that schedule. There's not a lot of places for them to make up ground. And their biggest opportunity was
Florida State going undefeated.
Was Florida State, and Florida State could walk into that game later in the season with 2-3 losses, and all of a sudden you don't really have a ranked win on your schedule. So the amount of pressure just, I think, even got intensified even more, knowing that Texas A&M might be the best team on your schedule. And if you go out there and embarrass yourself and don't look good, you're not going to have very many opportunities to prove to the college football playoff committee that you belong in the playoff.
I think Marcus Freeman is a good coach. And I think that Notre Dame fans are going to quickly realize that Marcus Freeman is a very good coach, but he's not the coach that's going to take over for Brian Kelly and get the Fighting Irish back to a national championship. And that's all fine. I mean, his 2 past years have been very good years. They were ranked right outside of the top 10, and they finished right outside of the top 10. I think that's what they're going to be, and I think that Irish fans should maybe temper expectations. I do like Riley Leonard. Notre Dame is still recruiting at a top 10 level every single cycle, and they're going to continue to do so. But are they going to put it together? Especially like you mentioned, they're not going to have schedules where, LSU or A&M or all these other schools kind of have the benefit of playing in a conference where, it is tough, but it also benefits you to play in that conference. Notre Dame's not going to have that, and they don't seem to have that going in the next 3 years. I don't really know where they go and what are they going to do? Fire him? Because he's still doing a damn good job steering the ship.
I'll tell you where they go. Urban Meyer.
My God.
Bring Urban Meyer to Notre Dame and they win a national championship. That's the only guy that's going to be able to get it done. Who do you got? I mean, let's.
I said it before we started. I wish A&M. I wish I had bet A&M before I got up to 3. We were talking about it when it was a pick 'em. I was like, A&M's a live dog. We were talking. You agreed. It was a live dog. Now I'm going to stay away, but I mean, I think A&M might shock the world and beat them. Not handedly, but I think they're going to comfortably cover.
Yeah. See, I'm leaning Notre Dame. Now I've leaned Notre Dame this entire time. I like them as a live dog. I think A&M's a live dog. Now they're a live favorite. It's like they're no longer the live dog, but I think that Notre Dame, I always thought Notre Dame was going to somehow find a way, Riley Leonard being a gamer, to win this game. I think Marcus Freeman is a good coach. I do think they have the better roster. I do think they have more there with Marcus Freeman, more experience with Marcus Freeman. I think the Elko hype it's hype. It's all hype right now. And I know we're happy that we're not hearing the noise like we did from Texas A&M with Jimbo Fisher, but are we sure Elko's going to come in there and just be like, oh, we're going to beat Notre Dame first game? I think that's a lot to ask. I do think because it's at Kyle Field, no matter what, Texas A&M is going to give them all they can handle. And if they did somehow blow them out, wouldn't be totally surprising because I think that atmosphere is going to be insane. But I do think Riley Leonard is the difference and Notre Dame gets the win.